Welcome to the virtual training seminar for adult learning under the KA2 project, Enhancing New Age Skills for Adults. Let's begin.
Bullying and fake news. How to recognize fake news? The term fake news has become ubiquitous in recent years. But what is fake news? Basically, it is an aggressive way to influence people. Fake or not, all news are influencing. The amount of fake news and misinformation is increasing, but it can be hard to spot. By sharing posts online without thinking, dangerous fake information can be spread and cyberbullying behavior can increase. Young people spending more time online and the news cycle moving faster than ever also as a result of COVID-19. Fast spread. Edward L. Bernays, in his most famous work originally entitled Propaganda, wrote, "The manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in democratic society. We are governed, our minds molded, our tastes formed, our ideas suggested, largely by men we have never heard of." It's a pretty good description of the world we live in. Freedom of expression is a democratic right. When everyone expresses their opinion, millions of opinions and interests collide and the chaos ensues. But we can do in a different way. Otherwise, to create order, we should implement the restrictions, which could be a dictatorship. PR and advertising or even fake news cannot force us to do anything we don't want to do. You can manipulate a little, cheat a little, exaggerate a little to make yourself more interesting. Ideas can be presented as attractive or less attractive, and it's up to individuals to decide whenever they want to follow them. If you want to analyze fake news, a good starting point is the light-hearted model developed by the American sociologist Harold D. Lossow in 1948. For example, to separate fake news from facts, the formula is: who says what in which channel to whom with what effect? Who says what in which channel to whom with what effect? Who, by answering who said it, we divert our attention to the sender. Lossow called that control analysis. Who is talking? What is their aim? Who are their allies? What, by looking at what is being said, we give attention to the actual message to identify the aim behind the message. We can, for example, ask, how are a woman or people of color represented? What does the phasing imply? Which, by answering to which channel question, we make a media analysis. Why are they using this channel? How can they afford it? Who paid for it? To whom? The audience analysis can, for example, reveal something about the aim of the sender. Why are they talking specifically to these people? With what effect? With the effect analysis, we ask, how did the audience react? What does this tell us to the center? Lossow was concerned with the effects of mass media, but his message also applies to interpersonal communication. His formula is a simple way to sharpen your senses for propaganda, whenever it's coming from. Fake news usually comes from rumors, discredit, lies, insight, distortion, chaos, or confusion.
Now we are going to talk about communication skills. We have a strong focus on the communication skills because of the way we use it. It influences a lot the working environment. But what is communication? According to Oxford English Dictionary, communication is the imparting or exchanging of information by speaking, writing, or using some other medium. The successful conveying or sharing of ideas and feelings. Communication competence is the ability to express and interpret concepts, thoughts, feelings, facts, and opinions in both oral and written form, and to interact linguistically in an appropriate and creative way in a full range of societal and cultural contexts, in education and training, work, home, and leisure. Intercultural communication skills are those required to communicate or share information with people from other cultures and social groups. While language skills may be an important part of intercultural communication, they are by no means the only requirement. They require both knowledge and skills. We should remember that different cultures have different customs, standards, social mores, and even thought patterns, as a willingness to accept these differences and adapt to them. Knowledge is important to improve intercultural communication. You need some knowledge regarding the culture, organization, institution, and history, and for the general way of living of different communities and nations. Recognize how these aspects affect, for example, behavioral norms or communication and languages. So there is a considerable history between the Greeks and Turks, and therefore it may be considered potentially a problem to serve Turkish food to a Greek person. Or, for example, people from Nordic countries are known for speaking more directly than native English speakers, who tend to use a more polite language. Scandinavians in the UK have reported causing offense to English people by failing to say please and thank you enough. Some understanding of the conventions that may govern behavior in certain specific intercultural environments, such as view of the role of the women or the license permitted to children, and so on. Crucially, awareness of your own and other people's beliefs and values, and the willingness to recognize when these may clash. Sensitivity towards cultural stereotypes that may affect and interfere with intercultural communication. Communication is a two-way process. That means that communication is not the same as broadcasting or simply sending out information. It involves both the sending and receiving of information. It therefore requires both speaking and listening, but also, and perhaps more crucially, developing and shared understanding of the information being transmitted and received. It is therefore an active process. There is nothing passive about communication in either direction. If you are the sender of information, this means communicate clearly, asking questions to check your listeners' understanding and listen to their replies, and if necessary, clarify further. On the other hand, if you are the recipient, it means listen carefully to the information, checking that you have understood by reflecting back, asking questions to ensure that you both have the same understanding of the situation. Effective communication skills will be helpful through the interview process and your career overall. The ability to communicate involves knowing how you should speak to others in different situations or settings. For example, when working with a team on a project, you may need to communicate when you believe an idea or a process are ineffective. Finding a way to tactfully and skillfully disagree with others on the job without creating conflict is an important skill that employers value. Top communication skills are active listening, nonverbal communication, clarity and concision, friendliness, confidence, empathy, open-mindedness, respect, feedback, picking the right medium. A quote from Stephen Covey: "The biggest communication problem is we do not listen to understand, we listen to reply." What is active listening? Active listening is strongly related to communication skills. Active listening is the ability to focus completely on a speaker, understand their message, comprehend the information, respond thoughtfully. Active listeners use verbal and nonverbal technique to show and keep their attention on the speaker. This not only supports your ability to focus, but also it helps ensure the speaker that you are focused and engaged. Instead of thinking about mentally rehearsing what you might say when the speaker is done, an active listener carefully considers the speaker's words and commits the information to memory. Are we sure to listen to? These are types of uncompleted listening. Pseudo-listening. We are reacting as we are listening, but actually we think about something else. One-way listening. We are accepting only the verbal communication, but not the non-verbal one. Selective listening. We are listening only what we consider important for us. Selective refusal. We are waiting to hear only for the things we would like to hear, and after this, we are not listening anymore. Defensive, offensive listening. All messages we are accepting like attacks, and we are reactive with attacks. 6 key active listening skills. 1. Pay attention. 2. Withhold judgment. 3. Reflect. 4. Clarify. 5. Summarize. 6. Share.